Hi there, this is Kim, and in this vlog I will be sharing a new journey and series that I'm busy walking in my life, which is where I'm applying myself in my day-to-day living to change myself in relation to a specific emotional experience inside of myself that I have been facing lately. Well, not only lately, I mean, it's been with me for the most part of my life. It's just lately that I've actually been seeing it more, as I've already walked a process through my mind, through, investigating how my mind works and becoming more aware of the patterns that I've conditioned into myself and into my living and internal experience. I'm now starting to become more aware of, other patterns that are emerging. It's like they're becoming more visible, and I have an opportunity to start working on changing these specific patterns through using the tools of writing, wherein I just look at and investigate what it is that I'm going through and what it is that I'm experiencing, and then applying self-forgiveness, where I work on releasing the past and releasing the specific pattern within myself, and then self-correction, wherein I basically redesign myself, create myself, reprogram myself to make sure that I change and transform into a being that is better, into a being that is, who I actually want to be, who I actually am, that is, my potential as a being. So one of these patterns that I found within myself that is not up to who I am and can be as my fullest potential is the pattern of inferiorizing myself in relation to, well, other people. And I go other people because actually it's inferiorizing myself in relation to myself. However, the way that this pattern will show itself and reveal itself in my life and living is that I feel inferior towards other people. In my mind, it will look like and seem as though I feel inferior towards someone else. Whereas through investigating into the deeper realities and the deeper dimensions of how this experience exists inside myself, I actually realized and found that actually I feel inferior towards myself. I mean, I've created the experience of inferiority within myself in my own mind, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with other people. It's just, how I've designed myself to be inside of myself, basically. So, a specific experience that I'm going to be sharing here in this vlog, in relation to this inferiority and tendency to inferiorize myself, is an experience that I think many people, maybe women specifically, will be able to relate to, because it's an experience that I go into in relation to my partner, in relation to my relationship with a male. And it's actually funny from the perspective that, throughout my life, how I've defined myself to be and who I always believed myself to be is actually a very stable person, someone who doesn't get emotional, someone who's very down to earth and doesn't easily become emotional or break down. And I remember often looking at other women and girls who easily start crying and becoming emotional about things. And I remember thinking, like, God, just how come, how come girls, or most girls, are so weak? Why is it that women are so goddamn emotional? Why can't they just stay stable, And then when I stepped into relationships myself, only then did the actual, reality of myself come out, meaning that suddenly I became very emotional very easily. Like, suddenly there were moments where I would, like, have nervous breakdowns and emotional breakdowns, where I would look at myself, like, inside of myself, like, kind of step back and look at what I'm doing and go, like, God, who is this person? Like, I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Because that's not how I knew myself to be, or how I defined myself to be. I wasn't an emotional person. This is not me. So, in a way, I felt like within stepping into relationships with men, I felt like I was losing respect for myself in a way, because, here I am becoming this emotional wreck, as how I've actually always judged other women. Like, now I am that which I've always judged. So, but with having discovered the process of self-forgiveness, which is basically the process of self-change and reaching one's self-potential, I've actually discovered that, the reason why I became emotional, the reason why these emotions were able to get a hold of me in my relationships, the reason why I never understood how or why it is that I became emotional like that, or where it comes from, is because I simply never had any real awareness of who I am within myself. I never was really aware of myself, my internal reality. I never realized that while I was, in my younger years, while I was looking at other girls and women and thinking that, they are being emotional and they are weak, and, I'm somehow strong because I don't react emotionally. Actually, what I was really doing was suppressing emotions within myself, was hiding emotional reactions within myself, was judging emotional reactions within myself. Therein, I was actually creating an emotional persona and personality in my subconscious mind that would only later in life step forth and express itself when I'm actually in a relationship. And, once that happens, obviously I will be like, what the hell is going on? And I will have no power and control over this personality, because I don't even know where it comes from, because it comes from the suppressed, deeper layers of my subconscious mind. Due to me simply never being aware of myself and what I'm doing while I'm growing up in this world and becoming an individual in this world. So within this process that I'm walking now of applying the tools such as self-investigation and, self-forgiveness and self-correction, within this process I'm, busy, first of all, investigating myself, investigating my own mind to develop that point of awareness in relation to, how I exist inside of myself, how I create my own thoughts and emotional experiences, how I create and have created my own identity and personality, how I came to be who I believe myself to be at this moment, which has already proven itself to be an extremely fascinating journey for those who have been walking and following the journey to life walked by many people in blogs and vlogs, just like what I'm doing right now, have already been able to witness the extent to which you can actually, investigate your own mind and understand your own mind, and within that also start understanding not only yourself but also your external reality, where things just start making more sense and you start understanding more about how things actually work, not only in your own consciousness but also the global consciousness of this world. So here I am then investigating this specific emotional reaction of inferiority, and what self-inferiorizing or inferiorizing self actually is, because I'm sure that many people can relate to this. Many people can relate to feeling inferior towards other people. And I mean, I'm sure many women can also relate to the experience that I've faced within my relationships. And thus, you can also, within listening to my story for yourself, start to consider how it's possible to change. So, but okay, I will get to that later. First, I will share with you the actual pattern that I've found within myself of inferiorizing myself, which is how this plays out in my relationship. Is that it's like at a certain point in my relationship, in the beginning of the relationship, it's always like everything's new, and it's like your personality is fresh and new and sparkly, and everything is fun and good and positive and nice. But with what I found starts happening even already after a few weeks when I'm in a relationship with someone, is that there will come a moment where I start noticing a change in my partner's behavior. Like, all of a sudden, things will not be as positive anymore. It's like the positive experience, the positive high will start dropping very subtly, very suddenly. And, all of a sudden, it's like there's these insecurities that start coming up, these thoughts about, what if he doesn't like me anymore? Does he like me? What if he doesn't feel attracted to me anymore? It'll just start coming up, all these kind of negative feelings and thoughts and experiences in relation to how my partner feels about me and what my partner thinks about me, where all of a sudden, when I look at him, I think and believe that, he doesn't want me the way that he did, or he's not that interested in me anymore, or maybe he doesn't think I'm pretty enough, or maybe he's bored with me, and I mean, from those thoughts, I then go into an experience of feeling small and inferior within myself and afraid. And that can then, result and escalate in kind of a downward spiral where I then become very insecure, and I start actually suppressing my expression. I start suppressing myself out of fear, because these thoughts will start coming up where I'm feeling insecure about my own expression, because I think that, what if he doesn't like this about me? What if he doesn't like that about me? Where, I mean, in the beginning, it's like I was just kind of enjoying myself. I was enjoying being together and expressing myself and having fun, and then all of a sudden, these thoughts come into my mind about, what if he doesn't like this part about me? What if he doesn't like that part of me? what if this, what if that, what if he gets bored with me, what if, and then as a result of that, I start suppressing myself more and more and more, until eventually it's like I don't even really speak anymore to him. It's like I'm not communicating anymore, I'm not open anymore, I'm just this silent little mouse, sitting in a corner, kind of looking at him, slightly afraid, trying to think of ways to be interesting, but nothing comes up because, with everything it's like, oh, but what if he doesn't like that? What if he doesn't like me anymore? Stuff like that. So, at that point, what I've found usually happens is that then obviously he will start reacting to that because, I'm changing in my expression, so he will now obviously also react to how I'm behaving with also a negative experience in himself, because that's how obviously relationships work, is that we tend to react to each other, where a situation like that can easily escalate. And often, they break up with me. Because, yes, because I have completely changed, and I am not expressing myself anymore, I am not enjoying myself anymore, and so he's also not enjoying himself anymore, and then it's like, that's the end of it. So unfortunately, that is how relationships tend to exist in our world and in ourselves, where from the moment that that negative experience comes up, that's often already the end of the relationships, rather than actually investigating ourselves and investigating what's going on from the starting point of finding a solution for the problem that we are facing, within the realization that, it's just an emotional experience. This is just something that, that we're going through within ourselves as a reaction, but it's not who we really are, So that's where I am at this point in my life, is where I'm actually applying that application of, rather than believing that this negative experience within myself is who I really am, I rather investigate it and change it, because I realize that it's just a reaction, it's just an emotional experience. So upon investigating what's actually happening in my mind at that point, is that is that there's an inferiority that I've basically already accepted within myself, where I've already developed throughout my childhood a personality within myself of feeling insecure and inferior, and doubting myself and feeling unsatisfied with myself, that I'm now starting to project on my partner, where now I'm actually blaming my partner for thinking that I'm not good enough, and thinking that I'm inferior, and looking down on me or judging me, and where then I will feel inferior towards my partner, and I will start to see him as this kind of almost like a monster that's judging me, that's looking down on me, when, not realizing that it's actually me in my own mind doing that to myself, and using my partner as an excuse to separate myself from that relationship that I've created with myself, and project that on him, so I can blame him and react emotionally to him, which is, why I become so very emotional within my relationships, because it's like I've created this dependency with him by projecting all of myself onto him. So it's like I'm trapping myself in these emotional reactions to my own projections, where I feel I can't get out of, because I'm not realizing that I'm just reacting to myself. It's just me, and that the solution to all of this is me taking responsibility for the relationship that I've created with myself, and actually changing myself, changing who I am within myself. Within and as the inferiority that I've accepted and allowed to exist within myself, and therein, creating a stable platform for my relationships with other people, where my relationships don't so easily tend to break up, and where my relationships actually exist within an equal to who I am within myself, where if I care about myself, my relationship with other people is also going to consist of and exist within that care and consideration. Whereas if I within myself reject myself, what am I going to create in my relationships with other people is rejection. So that was it for the first part in this process that I've already walked, of changing this experience of inferiority, where that's basically what I've written down as an investigation of how this pattern exists within myself, where I've looked at the various components, I've looked at the various dimensions involved within how this pattern exists within myself, in terms of how I've created it, where it comes from, how it exists, what's the thoughts, what's the emotional experiences attached to it, how does it play out in my physical expression and reality, what are the consequences of it, etc. And in the next step will be to investigate how I can start applying these insights and realizations into an actual living change, a real-time change in, for instance, the next moment that I see this pattern activating within myself, I will already be able to understand how it works. And within that, then, I can start applying self-forgiveness, which will be the transforming of understanding how it works into releasing it, into letting it go, actually stopping it within myself and changing it within myself, which will be for my next vlog. And if you want to know more about the specifics of what I found and what I discovered about this specific pattern of inferiorizing self, you can read my blog. And for more support in terms of walking your process of self-change, I would suggest to go and visit the forum at Destiny. Okay, thank you very much.